Welcome, everyone. I'm Kimberly Boschman, and today we are going to take a look at the numerology and the energy for the collective and each individual life path number for the full moon that will be occurring on September 10th, 2022. Before we get into the forecast, I just want to, of course, mention that this is a general forecast. If you would like a personalized forecast or a personalized reading, please book some time with me. My information is in the description box below. For those of you who are interested in a coaching session where we'll dive deeply into your numerology and find practical uses for how you can use those energies in your everyday life, I just wanted to let you know that I have restarted the Zoom option. So if you wanted to meet face-to-face over Zoom, that is now an option, and that is open to pretty much anyone globally. Or I do offer sessions by phone, and that is currently only open to United States, people who live within the United States. Okay, so... And yeah, I don't know if I said this, but if you're interested in the coaching session, I do have appointments starting around the middle of September. So go ahead and grab one. Okay, so let's get into this forecast. So we are looking at basically the energies for this illumination of the 16-7 and the 1. So again, you can go to the timestamp and go to your life path number, but I highly, highly recommend listening to the intro where we talk about the collective energy, because we are all part of the collective and it will affect us in some way, right? Whether it's us holding space for another while they move through this energy, or if it's directly affecting us in some way. So it is a solid resource. So I definitely highly recommend you listen to it. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So the 16, because again, remember we've got this energy of the 16-7 and the 1 that we're focusing on. The 16 in tarot is represented by the Tower card. And so I'm sure that many of you love to hear that. I know we've all been through a lot of changes, a lot of transformations in the last few years. And so we never love seeing the Tower energy come through. But this 16 energy, the 16-7 energy is more of like a lightning bolt coming through. It's an awakening energy that brings with it a clear flash of understanding. So that can feel really, really good. Even if we don't enjoy what we're seeing, even if it's totally different than what we had thought it was going to be, or things are working out differently than we had hoped for, having that clarity, having that understanding can just free up so much energy, so much space, that even if it's not what we wanted or not what we wanted to see or hear, just having that clarity, that understanding can just make a world of difference. And a lot of times it can like assist us in moving forward, right? Releasing what isn't working and moving forward. So this 16 energy is really helping to do that. It's really shedding light on what it is that we need to see around a situation that maybe we weren't able to see because of communication breakdown, or just we didn't want to see it, or whatever the case may be. But this energy is sort of like divine intervention. It is bringing it to the forefront, and there is no denying it, and there's no looking away. We have to face whatever this is. The 7 energy represents so much, but for this illumination, the focus is on truth, self-reflection, self-realization, solitude for the purpose of deep soul searching, to really acknowledge and to recognize the sides of ourselves or our own personal truths that we continue to sort of bury because they may not be the most popular or the most accepted by the people we care most about, or by society. So we end up living a lie rather than living in a way that brings us the most joy, the most self-respect, and the most fulfillment. Sometimes we are very conscious of these truths, and sometimes we've been conditioned so well that these truths are so suppressed that when they finally surface, we are confused or at odds with them. And so once they surface to be stepped into, the more we try to push them back down into the shadows, the more challenges and the inner turmoil that we'll end up facing until we give in and embrace these sides of ourselves that aren't ugly, but rather simply unique. So not everyone will understand, but not everyone needs to. These are our individual, unique truths, nobody else's. So things that are not socially accepted on a large scale are often easier for us to repress and face the constant sort of inner struggle than to fully step into the truth of our own inner knowing and face any backlash. This full moon, this illumination, this 16 tower energy will make it very difficult to avoid our own personal truths that lead to personal freedom. So the one energy gives us the confidence and the motivation to start that process of stepping into this new reality, regardless of who is left standing beside us. We should never need to alter who we are and what we need in order to make another comfortable. So if people end up falling away during this period, it is okay. Now, I know that sounds sort of insensitive to say, well, if they fall away, it's okay. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy. That doesn't mean it's like you just like wipe your hands and move on. Of course, it's, there's a release, there's a grieving process, there's a, moving through those feelings of unworthiness, like why wasn't I good enough, blah, 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 whatever it is that we tell ourselves. But it is very legitimate to understand that sometimes people are just not meant to continue on the journey with us. Their work is done, that contract has ended. And we need to move through the feelings that come up around that. We need to feel through whatever, stories we tell ourselves and, the pain that's associated with that person falling away. So when we say people will fall away and that's okay, it doesn't mean that it's easy. It just means that we need to understand, they are on their own journey. They have their own things to overcome and their own realizations to make. And just because they're not a part of our journey anymore doesn't mean that what they offered us wasn't special or beautiful or whatever. So I just want to just touch on that because it just sounds sort of insensitive to be like, well, people will fall away and hey, it's okay. It's still difficult and we still have to like move through that energy of that and understanding of, yeah, it's okay, but it still hurts and that we just need to heal that, right? So we just need to understand that those people that fall away, what they need, we can't give them and vice versa. Not anymore anyway, right? Otherwise, they'd still be on the journey with us and we'd still be on their journey. So you don't want someone standing next to you who won't be there if you stumble and fall. You want people standing next to you who want to be there. So one energy can be sort of the energy of solitude. And sometimes, especially when we're sort of leveling up in our own experience, with our own self-expression, our own autonomy, and our own self-awareness, we sort of move through periods of isolation, or we can. These periods remind us of our strength, of our inner strength, to do it on our own and to understand that, hey, we can do it on our own. And that others are meant to sort of complement the journey, to offer support and to assist, but not detract from the journey and not to carry us or to do it for us because it's not their journey, it's ours. This 16-7 energy brings the awareness and the awakening around our own personal truths that can no longer be ignored. And that leads to personal freedom that's waiting to be stepped into. And the one energy brings the fire, it brings the courage and the stamina to do it because it's not easy and it's not necessarily something we step into overnight. It can be a very long journey. This can be a very uncomfortable, sort of emotive, faith-breaking even at times, period, right? This cycle can be very faith-breaking at times, especially during the times that we have to do it in solitude or feeling sort of alone. But once you emerge on the other side, you sort of become like the eagle, flying so high in the sky, able to see much more than you were ever able to before. And we can look at this energy as an eagle, right? So and sort of the eagle experience. I just actually shared a little story that I wrote. I guess it's not really a story, but I guess it is. Anyway, I shared it in the community section. So if you're interested, you can check that out. But anyway, it's basically about this eagle who was raised by mice. And the eagle always wanted to fly, but it kept clipping its own wings to fit in with its mice family and the society that it knew best, right? But that desire to fly only continued to grow and grow. And no matter how much the eagle pushed those feelings down in order to fit in and to be accepted, they kept surfacing, right? And so finally one day when the eagle couldn't take it anymore, it started flying, and it took a while to overcome its own shame in feeling different. But eventually it started flying so high up in the sky and living its own truth without apology. It felt so good. And so there was no turning back at that point. The eagle had stepped into its own truth. And the eagle was surprised at how many of their old friends and family, didn't even care that they were an eagle. Like, they just loved them for who they were. And so that kind of talks about sometimes the fear that we sort of put, the stories that we create and the fear around those stories about living our truth and being in our truth. Sometimes they're not even real. You know what I mean? Most times they're more scary in our mind than they are in the reality. And the people who are meant to be around and be supportive of us while we stand in our truth, and who support us and cheer us on and are so proud of us for being unique and being different and being who we are meant to be, those are the people we want in our corner. Those are the people who are meant to be there. The ones who, want you to conform or to be anything other than who you are. Just, those aren't your people, and that's okay. And so the eagle, we can just think about that, right? And the story and how the eagle is meant to fly high in the sky, right? That's what eagles do. And making the eagle do anything other than that is going against its own truth. It's not natural. And so the point sort of being that this full moon, this 16/7 energy, this one energy, is really about personal truth and really stepping into that personal truth, or at least starting the process, right? So in this story, we are the eagle, and the 16/7 and the one energies of this illumination are helping us to sort of find our wings and fly. So very, very powerful, potentially transformative energies with this full moon. And I just think of the full moon as being like a spotlight. Like, there's no getting away from that illumination. It's going to shine the light on what it needs to shine the light on. It's going to shine the light on where it is that we are not being truly honest with ourselves about what feels right for us. Where are we conforming or changing who we are to make others comfortable? Stepping into our own truth, stepping into our own authenticity. And it sounds so cliche, like those words are thrown around so much, but there really is something to it. And typically when we step into our own truth, when we are very honest about what it is that we want and what we need to thrive, that can be one of the most challenging, one of the most uncomfortable experiences of our journey. Not only recognizing it, but stepping into it and honoring it and just moving through it. And letting things fall the way they need to fall, with people not understanding or people judging or whatever the case may be. So anyway, and sometimes it can be, depending on the situation, it can lead to violence. There's a lot that goes into it. And so it's easy for people to say, including myself, just step into your truth, be authentic. But it is probably one of the more difficult things that we as humans have to do because of the way that we've been conditioned and the way that the world sort of works. So I wish I could remember the quote, but there's a quote by a famous person that says something about like being yourself in a world that's trying to make you different or conform. Is like, I can't remember the words. If I think of it, I'll put it in the description box. But anyway, it's so accurate and it goes along with this. So this full moon is basically helping us to do this work and to really recognize what that truth is for ourselves and how to start that process, to that very honest process of stepping into that light and stepping into that truth. And then sharing those gifts that come from stepping into that truth and that authenticity, because boy, do we need it, right? All right, let's go ahead and take a look at each individual life path number now. Life path number 1. So you all are working with the undercurrent energies of the 8 and the 2. So this could bring about focus on business relationships, power struggles, or balancing of power with when it comes to, like, again, business, finances, money, resources, leadership roles, any of those things. Again, finances and relationships, and really it's going to be about like, or it may tend to be more about like 8 guided things. So relationships around like your relationship to your bank and needing to get funding and working with the bank to get that funding. So maybe like other people's money type thing. Maybe you need a loan or something like that, or investing and working with an investor to be able to do that and understand that process, or whatever the case may be. This can also be about an increase in clients, seeing more clients come through. Again, like sort of other people's money, like other people paying you for your services, but that relationship. So the client relationship to the proprietor, that could come in very, very strongly for you all at this time. Contracts could be coming in heavily at this time, merging with another on something. So like a change in status. So just think of like very physical things, because again, this is 8 energy. So merging with another, like such as like, getting married or buying or selling a home, right? So, you're not really, I guess, merging with someone in that situation, but you're working with people to do that. You're having some kind of camaraderie, or at least some kind of exchange of energy to buy or sell a home or property, to, just basically anything like that, like contractual, signing some kind of a contract, some kind of agreement, and working with others in that process, where somebody or both people have something to gain. This can be beautiful energy for like power couples. So if there's somebody, if you're married or, in a partnership with somebody, a romantic partnership, and you decide to open a business together, if that makes sense for you, right? Doesn't make sense for everybody, but it's sort of specific, but if that makes sense for you, this is like power couple energy. This is like if the stars align and you all feel called to do something together and it feels right for both of you, sort of initiating that or launching that at this time, you could see some massive rewards from that. So this is, again, power couple energy, or like 2 people who are very influential coming together in some way. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like romantic, but it could be like, again, you just meet the perfect business partner and you guys open a business and it just blows up in a good way. Finding balance is also key here under this illumination. So finding balance and peace of mind around money, around power, around spirituality, because 8 energy is a very spiritual energy, and where you're also working with that 2 energy. So it's like the 2 of Cups in tarot. It's like coming together, the merging of, it could be two people, right? But it's really like 2 of Cups energy is really a lot about the marrying or the merging of the divine masculine and divine feminine energies that we all have within us. And so it's like balancing out those energies so that one is not more dominant, or, in power type thing. And so it can be a very spiritual period for you as well, if you have that sort of work to do. And again, like balancing resources, balancing your checkbook, or like, I don't know if people still do that, but anyway, like, just managing your money, managing your resources could all come into play at this time. This is a great, like I said, this is a beautiful, beautiful energy for collaboration, for working with other people. For like asking for what you need and then working with people to get it type thing. So very, very powerful energy for you all ones. All right, take care. Life path number 2. So you all are working with undercurrent energy of the 9 and the 3. So this can be a very creative time for you all. It can be a very social period. Now, I talked about in the intro where this can be sort of a more isolating time or kind of working on self and that sort of thing. But for you all, you have all this like very creative social networking energy flowing through you. But you also have the very spiritual energy of the 9. So it could be a very like internal period for you where it's just very creative through solitude. So it could come in a variety of ways, but it has the potential to be a social period, or at least an opportunity for you to meet someone or people who will have a great effect on either your spirituality, your ability to create something and get it out into the world. Basically like this energy of like assistance coming through pretty strongly with this energy. Again, great networking, collaboration. This is also great energy for like anything to do with communication. So getting your message out there through speaking, through writing, any form of communication is very supported at this time, which is beautiful for 2s because you all, people are really drawn to you, I think, naturally, just because, 2 energy is about bringing people together and seeing all sides of a situation and working with people to sort of mediate and find common ground. And so people naturally, typically feel very comfortable opening up around 2s. So the fact that this very communicative energy is coming through so strongly, use this to your advantage. This would be great energy to write a book, to get your thoughts down on paper, or the computer. Write your book, start a podcast, let people hear your voice. Just make sure that, of course, that there's like power and positivity in the sense that there's integrity behind what it is that you're putting out there, because 2s have the potential to be very influential because, again, people feel very comfortable in your space and your energy. And so they're more apt to be drawn to or influenced by what you have to say. So be very mindful of what you are putting out there, because you want to make sure that the influence that you're having is not detrimental towards somebody, right? Now, you have no control over how they take it, but you do have control over what you put out there. So be very mindful of that. This is also, with this 9 energy, very much so about like being in service in some way. So maybe creating something to serve a greater purpose. So again, starting a podcast, starting a YouTube channel where there's integrity behind the message, writing a book, offering some kind of workshop where you're teaching other people how to do, or inspiring other people to do something or tap into their talents or whatever. Again, it comes back down to creative integrity and honesty. So you just need to keep checking in with yourself and just make sure that not only are you being true to yourself, and this goes back to what we talked about in the intro, not only are you being true to yourself, but you're making sure that you're very honest with your message that you're sending out, and that there is integrity behind it, and there's no intention of ill will, right? So, because again, this is such a powerful energy that you're working with, if you're putting a message out there that holds ill will, it has the possibility to have a boomerang effect and come right back at you. So just be mindful of what you're putting out there and that there's good intention behind it. This can be a period of spiritual connectivity. This can be a very intuitive, psychic period. That's very possible. 2s are very sensitive by nature. And so you may see some gifts open up at this time that you already have, but that you're tapping into. And so it always depends on how open you are to it. But you may see some form of like spiritual connectivity come through where you feel more connected, whether that's to your higher source, to your higher consciousness, whatever it is that you subscribe to. So really beautiful energies that you're working with 2s under this illumination. So take advantage of it. All right, take care. Bye for now. Life path number 3. So you all are working with an undercurrent energy of the 1 and the 4. So this can be a lot of independence around career, around your work or your creative output. There's a lot of like leadership energy coming through here. And so it's like building something on your own that feels like your seed, your baby, with your name behind it. And so again, just a lot of independent energy, but a lot of like building a legacy sort of thing. Now, of course, you will need to do that with other people. It's very difficult to build an empire on your own, right? So there may need to be some collaboration down the road, but this period feels like really taking ownership of whatever it is that you're trying to create, whatever it is that you're trying to build, and making sure that it's got your stamp of approval, that you're doing it in a way that you feel really good about, and that what you're putting out there, you're proud to have your name behind. And so you're not skipping steps. You're not trying to like get instant gratification. You're in it for the long haul. There can also be, of course, and this goes sort of with what we talked about in the intro, greater understanding of self and your own desires and how to create those desires, like how to actually build what it is that you want to build. Like you as a 3 just constantly probably have big ideas coming through and like inspirations and are just very creative by nature. It is very easy for 3s for that life force energy to get stuck and start getting stagnant, which you'll sort of see sort of some physical ailments potentially surface because of that. But there's just so much sort of moving through you. And so this 1 and 4 energy is very practical, powerful energy to help you to understand how to best sort of turn those ideas into something very practical and into something sustainable that will last the test of time. But it's very slow moving energy. So where you might be more used to like faster moving energy as a 3, depending on what else is in your chart, this can be a very slow moving energy, but it can also feel like push-pull because 1 energy is very fast moving. It's very ambitious and likes to take initiative and take risks. 4 energy is very slow moving. It's going to make sure that all your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed and that it's done right. So just be really patient with yourself as you move through this energy, but use it for what it's there for, which again is helping you to build something very, very solid, sustainable, very supportive. That's going to be long lasting if you stick with it. Now, if you start it and you end it right before it has time to come to fruition, before it has time to be built, then that's what you're going to get out of it, right? 4 energy is going to ask you to be persistent. It's going to ask you to stick with it, to keep going, overcome the obstacles. And so just be aware of that. Do not give up too soon. If it still speaks to you, if it still calls to you, do not give up on it. That's the main thing that a lot of people who go through 4 cycles end up seeing is that they give up on those goals too quickly. And then they're like, I can't believe that didn't work out. It felt so right. If it felt so right, then you need to keep going with it. Don't give up on it. Just remember, 4 energy is very slow. It's a taskmaster energy. It's going to make sure it's done right. And something that's foundational, that's getting to the root of things, takes time. So just be very patient with it as you move through it, because this has the potential to assist you in building something that you're really, really proud of and that you're really, really proud to put your name behind. So beautiful energies at this full moon for you all 3s. All right, take care. Bye for now. Life path number 4s. Okay, so we are working with this undercurrent energy of the 11, 2, and the 5. So there is a potential for a lot of change or shifts in relationships. Not always challenging or bad, right? It doesn't always have to be like challenging or bad. Like sometimes new people can enter that turn our world upside down, right? That we're not expecting. And so this can be big, great new energy that comes through that like lets us to see things differently, that shifts our perspective, that again has the potential to just turn us upside down and completely change our direction, which again is not a bad thing. Like if people are entering and it has that sort of effect, or if people are leaving and it has that sort of effect, there is something to that. Like there's a reason. Like that is basically divine intervention. There is a soul contract there, or there's a soul contract ending. And so again, going back to what I talked about in the intro, we need to be as adaptable, especially with 5 energy, adaptable as much as possible when it comes to these changes, because they are for our highest good. It's basically like our soul working behind the scenes to make sure that the changes come in to shift the energy, to shift the momentum. Because a lot of times, especially with 4 energy, we can be a little stubborn. We can get stuck in our ways. We like things that work. And once they start working, we don't want to change it because if it works, why change it? Why break it? So this 5 energy can come in and just be like, hey, we're shifting gears, hang on type thing. Where we're taking you is going to be great. So that sort of thing can happen, right? Those kind of shifts can happen, which can be uncomfortable while we're in it, but it doesn't have to be though. That's the thing. It's like, it can be uncomfortable, especially for a 4, which is more like fixed energy, but it doesn't have to be. Like if we can be adaptable, if we can go with the flow and just see where life takes us in that moment, right? We just open ourselves up to just a grand experience. And so this energy is asking us to do that. And it's really shifting us into something that's much more aligned with our passions, with our own truth, with our own integrity, all of those things. So be very open to whoever shows up, whatever shows up at this time. Business relationships could come in, big business deals that sort of force us to change direction in a big way. So you might get an offer that you can't refuse. And the only stipulation is that you have to move overseas. That might be very daunting, very scary, but if you do it, imagine what it's going to open up for you, or has the potential to open up for you. So this is going to be a period where we need to follow our inspiration, our passion, our desires, and dream big, like follow our imagination. Can be really difficult for 4s, especially if you have a lot of more practical, ambitious sort of energy in your chart. If you have a lot of 5s in your chart, like I do, you're sort of used to this. You've been working with this change, transformation, shifting energy your whole life. And so it's not going to be as abrupt for you. But, we still have a lot of 4 energy. So yeah, it can still be a little bit, we just have to remind ourselves, go with the flow. So it can be challenging when you're in the shift. But if the more that you can kind of let your hair down and be like, you know what, I can fight this all I want, but this is really trying to take me somewhere good. So let me trust this. Let me trust my higher self. Let me trust the universe, whatever. So it could be something that comes in like a business deal or something like that actually kind of forces your hand a little bit to change direction in a big way. Like this is big energy. This is 11 energy. This is master level energy. And so this is it's a big purposeful energy, right? So any shifts that occur now, any changes, same thing with like romantic partnerships. If someone falls away, if someone new comes in, anything that sort of, any change, any transformation, any shift in energy that happens under this illumination is very significant, or has the potential to be, because again, you're working with this 11 energy that's very in spirit. It's very inspiring. And then you got this 5 energy that's like very fast moving, changing energy that can also be about like joy, romance, all those things. So it does have the potential to be big and very abrupt and again, just shifting energy. But pay attention to anything that comes in at this time. Don't try to push it under the rug. You're not really going to be able to, but because it'll keep showing up, especially if it's meant for you. But you can notice like changes in family, in friends, in relationship, any relationship really. And again, some relationships may end, so new relationships can enter, and those new relationships need to come in. So it's kind of like nothing happens on accident, right? Like, I mean, it's like if somebody leaves, we have to move through that, but it's because it's making space for somebody else to come in. Or if we've overstayed our welcome in a relationship because it's comfortable, the universe may step in and with divine intervention and remove that person in some way, whether we like it or not. And then the new person enters because now the next chapter begins, right? Like the next opportunity for, leveling up or whatever, comes in, right? And it's all purpose driven. It's all to step us into the next part of our journey, the next part of our purpose. And so potential to see a lot of shifts here, to see a lot of movement. And it can be like movement in a way that you weren't expecting, or it can be finally seeing movement in a way that you were hoping for. So this can be really exciting, really, just exciting energy. And so that can be overstimulating sometimes for 4s. And so you really just have to figure out how to move with this without trying to fight it and without trying to change, without trying to cling to the things that are no longer serving or the things that are no longer working or whatever, right? even if it's tried and true, because tried and true is going to give you the same results over and over again, right? Which isn't always a bad thing, but it depends on what it is. And so if it's something that you're not really meant to keep getting the same results from, then this 5 energy, this 11 energy is going to help to shift that and move you towards something, to create something that will give you different results. So I'm in this with, right there with you. And so curious to see what comes in, but just try to go with the flow. All right. Take care, fours. Bye for now. Life path number 5. So this energy, this illumination is bringing in for you this undercurrent energy of the 3 and the 6. So this can be, even though in the intro we talked about it being more of like an energy of like self-reflection and self-awareness and all of that, and stepping into our own personal truths, for you all, there is a very strong undercurrent here of this 3-6 energy, which can bring in a very social period, but it's around the home, right? Because we have the 6 energy. So it's around your home. It's around people that you already feel close with, that you already have a connection with. It's not necessarily meeting new people, although it could be, you could be meeting new people that you will eventually will be in that circle, right? But this is kind of like the people you feel really comfortable with, very safe with, all of those things. So this can be a very social period with that population. So maybe spending more time with friends and family or loved ones. It may be that you're more apt to throw a party or have a social gathering or be invited to one, or someone may be having a baby or getting married or something like that. So it's just kind of like a very social period, but very much focused around the home environment and those relationships that you already have, that already feel pretty solid, unless again, it's somebody coming in that's going to sort of join that circle. This could be you buying a home or selling a home. Again, like the home life, the home is very much in focus at this time. So you may see a lot of action in or around home life. Somebody may be moving in, somebody may be moving out. You may be moving location now. You may be again selling, buying, whatever the case may be. Creative projects around the home can come in very strongly at this time. Things could bubble to the surface now that need to be looked at. So if there's any any issues, any communication breakdown situations, then this will be a time where that's sort of highlighted to be addressed and to be worked through. And again, this is going to be the people that you feel closest with. So if there's anybody that you need to have a very honest conversation with or open those lines of communication with, this is going to be an energy that's very supportive to help you to do that. And again, it's going to be very highlighted around your loved ones. So maybe take a closer look at, is there anyone that maybe you need to reach out to, or just open those lines of communication. Also for some, this could be a very important love interest coming in for you, or a very important relationship could come in. So it doesn't have to be a love interest. It's kind of what I talked about, like with somebody maybe entering your circle, your sacred circle. But for those of you who are looking, and even for some of you who are not looking, I mean, sometimes the universe is just like, hey, I know you're in a solid, or what feels like a solid relationship, but hey, here's somebody, you know what I mean? Like this gonna rock your world. Have fun, figure it out. So it's not always about, morally, humans would it happens like this, but it doesn't always happen like it should, or like we think it should. So just be open to whoever shows up for you at this point in time, because if somebody shows up under this illumination and you feel a strong connection, and again, it doesn't have to be romantic or whatever, but if you feel a strong connection to this person, there's probably a reason. And so just be open to it. If you are single and looking, which, it doesn't matter how much we look, eventually, the person's going to enter when they're meant to enter, but this could be a time when that person enters. So it's very possible for a very important love interest to enter at this time. or again, a friendship. This could also be a really beautiful time for weddings, getting married yourself, something like that, getting engaged, moving in with somebody, taking it to the next level, something like that. So that's sort of the energy overall that you all are working with under this illumination. So I hope it's a beautiful one. Take care, everyone. Bye for now. Life path number 6. So you all are working with sort of the undercurrent energies of the 13, 4, and the 7. So for you all, this could be a very transformative time when it comes to your own health and well-being. So your holistic health, right? Body, mind, spirit. This can be a transformative time around self-care and what that looks like for you. So you may try new things. You may sort of explore or incorporate new things into your routine to try to figure out what works for you now, because, our needs change over time. And so just be open to experiencing new things, to exploring new things, and figuring out how they fit within your current routine, and maybe do you need to shift things a little bit to get into maybe better balance when it comes to that holistic health. This is also going to be a great time, not only because of the energies that we're working with collectively that I spoke about in the intro, but also because you're working with this 7 energy. This is a great time for self-reflection, for rest, for relaxation, and for vacations. So if you haven't had a vacation in a while, this is a great time to just, put the close sign up, take some time off, and go on a vacation, even if it's a staycation, even if you don't actually go anywhere. Although I would recommend, if you can go somewhere, to go somewhere, but if you can't, just to get a change of scenery, right? But if you can't, that's okay too. Just surround yourself with things that you enjoy, that make you feel good, that feel very self-soothing, that bring you into sort of a state of relaxation. Especially if you've been kind of running ragged, this is a great opportunity to really nurture yourself, and through that process, you may realize some things about yourself that you need and you haven't been giving yourself, or that you need from others and you haven't been receiving. And so this can be a transformative time in that sense as well. But sometimes we have to slow down and we have to sort of nurture ourselves to see like, oh, this feels really good, or this doesn't feel good. Why do I keep doing this, right? So you can also see some really big answers to some big questions come in at this time. Really big life questions. And so just be very open to your dreams, to the visions that come in, the ideas that come in. This can be a very intuitive, very psychic period for you as well. So pay attention to what comes in for you around those big questions. And those big answers that come in may create a change in your circumstances, right? So there you can see some transformation in that sense too. Once we know, we can't unknow. And so usually once we know something, once that clarity comes in, then it's up to us to do things a little differently. Otherwise, we're just going to continue to get the same results. So potential for a lot of transformation and self-reflection at this period of time for you. Be very open and open to what comes through, and open to investigating and exploring it, because there's a lot of potential here for this to really help you to create a very balanced, holistic approach to your, not only your self-care, but some of those, life situations. So beautiful energy that you're working with, 6s. I hope it's a beautiful illumination. Take care. Bye for now. Life path number 7. So you all are working with undercurrent energy of the 14, 5, and the 8. And so for this illumination, this could bring about feelings of restlessness, or even competition could arise when it comes to business, career, finances, or authority figures or people in power, quote unquote power. So the question is like, how do you want to engage? Because you get to choose how you participate. So if someone's coming at you being competitive, it might be to your benefit to engage with that and sort of, flex your own muscle and your own expertise and win that bid or whatever it is that you're competing for. Competition is not always a bad thing as long as it's done in a healthy way. But if there's some kind of competition that's like a lower vibration, then of course, you get to choose how you participate in that. And if you engage in it and it's lower vibration, then probably the results of that competition will have a lower vibe as well. So just kind of keep that in mind and just be open to those experiences and decide how you want to participate. You may also feel pulled towards unexpected sort of social or family obligations at this time. And, remember that even in those situations, you have a choice in how you participate, right? So it's like, just because it's family, just because it's feels like a social obligation or whatever the case may be, is it an obligation? Like, is it something that you actually have to do, and why? Why is that? And take a closer look at that. Are you doing it strictly because you feel obligated, or do you actually have some kind of like stake in it? Is there a reason why you actually have to participate? So if something surfaces at this time where someone is trying to coerce you or influence you to be a part of something that you don't want to be a part of, like your heart's not in it, and there's no big consequences or ramifications for you not being a part of that, and the only reason why you're doing it is because you don't want to disappoint someone or let someone down or upset somebody, then just take a closer look at this time, because this illumination is going to ask you to be very true to yourself and what you need and what you want, and the choices that you make. So just be really aware of that. And again, if you take on a burden, you have to go into it knowing that it's going to be a burden and kind of see it through and then make different decisions down the road. But it's kind of like an opportunity just for reflection and saying, like, why am I saying yes to this if my heart's not in this? And if it comes down to like just, again, being obligated or sacrificing yourself to do that, then this could be a good opportunity under this illumination to say no and do things a little bit differently this time and get different results, right? So you may also choose to modify your lifestyle in some way at this illumination and do things, again, a little bit differently, and more favorable for yourself at this time. So to get a different outcome. So it's not modifying your lifestyle for somebody else or to accommodate somebody else. It's, again, and this goes so in line with what we talked about in the intro, but it's like modifying your lifestyle in a way to do things to get more favorable outcomes for yourself. That's coming in really, really strongly as well. So again, if there's anywhere within your experience where you constantly modify yourself to please others or to accommodate or to make others feel comfortable, then this illumination could make you feel very uncomfortable to do that. And you may need to modify the situation to your benefit, right? That feels good for you. There's also a need to verify under this energy, especially when it comes to, again, business contracts or long-term commitments and financial commitments, especially if the stakes are high. If the stakes are high, I would say read the fine print either way, whether it's low stakes or high stakes. But if the stakes are high, and this is something that you are committing yourself to for a very long period of time, I would have a professional also read through, someone that's trained to read through the fine print, just to make sure that what you are signing your time, your energy, your resources away to is, first of all, legitimate, and you're not getting sort of taken for a ride or whatever the saying is. But also that, just to know what the fine print says, to make sure that what you're committing to is something that you actually feel aligned with to commit to for a period of time. Because it can be under this energy that those contracts that you sign yourself into may not be exactly what you thought they were going to be down the road. Now, that can happen in life, and that shouldn't deter us from doing things that we feel called to do in the moment. But just know with this 5 energy, things have a way of like appearing one way, but then it's kind of like It's kind of like when Mercury is in retrograde type thing. Things aren't always as they appear. And then when Mercury goes direct, it's like, oh, maybe I should have waited to sign that contract. I would even go as far as to say, like, under this energy, because it is very physical energy with this 8 energy, if there's something that, unless you feel really, really confident about it and you've sort of been working with it for a while, and so it's not really like a guessing game, I would say if there's something you're signing now that you are committing yourself to for the long term, if you can wait until after this illumination, which I would say is about a period of, say, like 2 weeks from the illumination, so from the 10th of September, I would say if you can wait until like the beginning of October, that would be ideal. But, we can't put our life on hold for numerology or energy. But again, just make sure that you are verifying, that you are doing the sort of investigative work, that you're making sure that everything is as it seems, or at least to the best of your ability, which you're a 7, so I'm not really too concerned about you being able to do that. But I would definitely do that at this time. Okay, so interesting energy is coming in for you all. Very physical, lots of potential changes, especially around career, power, authority, finances, business, that sort of thing. This can be a very fruitful time as well for you all. And you may see changes in your business that you weren't expecting to see, or changes in your career or finances that you weren't expecting to see. Doesn't have to be something to be afraid of. It can be something that is just very glorious and wonderful and exciting, and you weren't expecting it. And now it's like just changes your direction, but in a really beautiful, powerful way. So interesting, powerful energies for y'all 7s. I hope it's a beautiful illumination. Take care. Bye for now. Life path number 8. So for you all, you're working with undercurrent energy of the 6 and the 9. So this can be a cycle for selfless acts. So think like doing pro bono work or sharing your spiritual knowledge, because we have that 9 energy, which is very spiritual energy. Sharing your spiritual knowledge, sharing your wisdom, your business wisdom, right? Your offering business advice, maybe for a discounted rate or for free or whatever the case may be. Finding ways to share your own inspiring stories to help inspire others without concern or too much focus on what you will get in return, right? So this is very much like in service to, in spirit energy. We're not so concerned about like the exchange of energy here. This is like giving for the sake of giving and not being concerned about receiving. Okay, there's a time and a place for that, but this illumination is just really asking you to focus on that giving side and really detaching from what it is that you'll receive in return. Leading by example at this time through compassion and understanding is very much highlighted. So it's not necessarily about being the leader and like knowing everything and knowing the ins and the outs and like in teaching or sort of dictating to others. Dictating is a strong word, but you know what I mean? It's like just really leading alongside of others and really hearing what others have to say, and how can you incorporate that into your own work, and how can you make it sort of so it's like a group effort where maybe you are the leader of that group, but it's sort of like a melting pot of ideas and goals and all of those things, and how can you make it work together through compassion and understanding. So that could be coming in very strongly. Also finding ways to be more charitable. So finding ways to pay it forward and to give back to the community, to friends and family, to anybody, right? To someone you meet on the street, whatever the case may be, whatever speaks to you. There's definitely this strong energy around, again, like giving back and not even thinking twice about what you'll receive in return from that, right? Like, oh, I gave to this charity, and so I just built up my karma bank, and now I'm going to get this in return, right? Because at that point, it's like, then you were kind of doing it for more selfish reasons. And so this energy is going to really ask you to look at, especially for 8 energy, because 8 energy is so ambitious, and it's very driven. It's very much like, okay, this is the vision. Let's go. Let's get it done. Let's make it happen. And then, it's a very intelligent energy. It's very practical, very powerful energy, but that energy can get very caught up in, again, like the outcome and like and the return of investment and all of those things. And so this energy, this illumination, is really assisting eights in stepping into that more ethereal, more spiritual side of things, which is very, that 9 energy, which is very compassionate. And you also have that sort of tied in with the 8 energy as well. It's a very spiritual energy as well. But this 9 is helping to bring that out. And a part of that, and what, part of like a good business, a part of a good exchange of energy is not only the receiving, but also the giving type thing, but doing so without needing to receive. So there's a lot coming in around that. It's very specific. So if it doesn't resonate for you, no worries. But if it does, then really try to take it to heart and find ways to be more charitable, where you are actually like involved in that process. And what I mean by that is like, maybe you're giving of your time, maybe you're giving resources, or again, financial donations or whatever, where you are making a very conscious decision about who you're donating to, how much, the impact that it could have, like why that's important to you, all of those things, right? There's like, it's more than just being like, okay, I'm just going to give to like check it off the box. Not saying that you do that, but I'm just saying it's deeper than that. It's a much deeper energy that's coming through here. So this energy that you all are working with sort of shifts the focus onto others and sort of what contributions that you can make to make some sort of a difference, or at least with the intention to be able to make some sort of difference, not in your life, but in the other person's life. And again, not expecting anything in return and not feeling any sort of attachment to that situation. It's like, I want to give from the goodness of my heart, and here it is. Do with it whatever you want. It kind of goes to that, like if you see a homeless person on the street, there's sort of 2 types of people: the people who will give because they see somebody in need, and the person who will sort of not give, or will give, but then will judge that person for, well, I wonder what they're going to do with it. It's like, if we're giving out of the goodness of our heart, we're doing so because we want to, and because we want to sort of assist or help that other person. We don't care what they do with it. Anyway, so you may kind of see that come up for you all at this time. So interesting energies here. Also, I want to mention the 6 obviously is a big part of this. And so this sort of brings it back to your circle, like your close circle, your friends, family, significant other, that sort of thing. Anything around your home, anything around your like immediate community. So again, this could be like you helping out a family member or a friend or something like that, but doing so in a way where it is completely out of the goodness of your heart, and you're not looking for validation or accolades or anything in return. It's just simply like, I need to help this person. I want to help this person, and whatever they do with that help is up to them. Or it could be, again, because it's 6 energy, it could be very community driven. So this could be you getting more and more involved in your community, but in a way that's like giving back and not necessarily expecting anything in return. So that could also be coming in as well. So really beautiful energy. And at the heart of 8s really is this philanthropic, like philanthropy, right? Like where it's kind of like, that's sort of the whole goal of the 8 is to amass this wealth or amass this power or influence or whatever, to be able to circulate that energy in a way that helps others. There's so much integrity behind an 8 when it's in its highest expression. And so to see this kind of energy coming in now means that potentially some of you are being prepared to really step into that 8 energy, which such a big side of that is the more like, again, circulating, redistributing that wealth. It's not, 8 energy is not selfish energy. It's very much about like, what you amass, you redistribute, you circulate, you reap the rewards of that, but you also share that wealth, those rewards with others, to assist, not to be the martyr, but to assist, right? So anyway, lots of very interesting, beautiful energies coming in for you all 8s. But again, it's what we do with it. So I hope it's a beautiful illumination for you all. Take care. Life path number 9. So for you all, you're working with an undercurrent energy of 10-1. So we are also, of course, working with the one energy collectively, but it has a little bit of a different feel for you all because it's got the influencing energy of the 10. So what we're looking at here is this beautiful energy for a shift in focus and potentially a shift in energy and sort of a feeling of like the tables turning in your favor. So if there's anything that you've been trying to make happen or you've been moving through or working with, you may see some kind of shift now, and it can feel like things again are moving more in your favor or working out, right? Sort of taking a closer look also at how your previous actions sort of impacted your journey, and then learning from those choices to decide where do you want to do things differently. Or if something was working, where do you want to keep doing it the same? So there can be an opportunity now for some reflection here. And again, to see like, okay, do I like the results I've been getting from the choices that I've been making? Or do I not like the results that I've been seeing from the choices I've been making? And from that sort of evaluation, deciding or starting to plan how it is that you can sort of make different choices or actively move towards changing those circumstances in some way, right, to get different results. This can be a time where sort of new events kind of come in that provide a greater understanding for your current circumstances and help you kind of decide next steps, right? So it's kind of like sometimes when we not necessarily get in a rut, but when we get into a routine, we can easily miss opportunities for changing things up and getting different results. And so, again, if you're in a routine that's working, but sometimes we can be in a routine and we think it's working, but we're getting not so great results, but we're convincing ourselves that those results are okay and we'll just make do. You know what I'm saying? Like we're selling ourselves short, basically. Times like when that happens, or if we've been sort of in that, I guess it would be a rut, right? If we've been in that rut for a while, divine intervention or events from the external or events from the internal, right? We can be faced with something physical, with our physical bodies or whatever. But there could be an opportunity here where an event, sort of potentially an abrupt event, comes in that shines a light on sort of, or provides greater understanding around your current circumstances and where maybe it is that you are sort of not self-sabotaging, but selling yourself short, where you could be doing so much more in this area and receiving so much more, but you only feel like you're worthy of this. Or again, I'm in my comfort zone. It's quote unquote working. So why fix what isn't broken? But the question becomes, are you getting the most out of the experience? And if you're not, how can you make different choices, or how can you change things in a way where you get different results and potentially astronomically better results? So you may see that come in now, again, where like events happen. So maybe like you get a job offer, or like somebody enters your awareness, or an experience comes in, or whatever, that makes you really pay attention to or evaluate sort of your current circumstances and where it is that or how it is that you want to move forward, right? And really pay attention to those choices. So this can be a very transformative personal period for you, which does tie in with the intro very, very strongly. It's just like nines are getting sort of an added piece to this puzzle. But the focus is very much on self and your routines, and the way you're participating and the way you're showing up and what you expect to receive from your experience, or what you feel worthy of. Because what you feel worthy of will dictate how much effort you'll put in, or the changes that you'll make, or whatever the case may be. And so you may see a lot come in now that again highlights for you how good things could be, right? And then once you have a taste of that, it's like, okay, so how do I work to get that, whatever that is, right? So really powerful energies that you all are working with, nines. I mean, I think you always are, but this has the potential to just really bring a lot of clarity and confirmation for maybe what you're already feeling. And then it will just be up to you to figure out what steps to take next. So I hope it's a beautiful illumination, nines. Take care. Bye for now. Life Path 11 twos. So for you all, not only are you working with, of course, the energies of the collective that you will probably feel in one way or another, but you're also working with the energies of the 9 and the 3. And so this is great energy to get organized. So clear the clutter, do some spring or winter cleaning or whatever, fall cleaning. Finish up any loose ends. This is a great opportunity to just get rid of the cobwebs. If there's something that you're just holding on to because you might need it at some point, this is the time to release it, to get rid of it. Because if you haven't used it in, 6 months, you're probably not going to use it. Or let's say a year. If you haven't used it in a year, you're probably not going to need it, right? And so it's not that important. So loosen or lighten the load, give it to charity or give it to a friend or whatever, or sell it. If it's a person, fine, then this could be an opportunity for finding a way to release that person or that person's energy. If it's a past experience with a person that you're holding on to, if it's a mindset, all of these things, anything where there is clutter, whether it's in the mind, in the body, in the physical, experience, if it's with a person, this is going to be a beautiful energy for clearing the clutter. And in doing so, you make space for so much more aligned things to come in, right? So beautiful energy for that. So definitely allow yourself the time to do that, whatever that looks like, however long it takes. Because if it's cluttering up your experience, then it's cluttering up your energy, right? So beautiful energy here to work with, but you have to, of course, do the work. You're the one that has to actually clear the clutter. The energy is just supporting you in doing that. Also, part of that is, again, finishing up loose ends. So if there's any projects that you've been procrastinating on, or you know that you need to tie up and move on from, or whatever, this is going to be a good time to close those out, to finish that, to feel accomplished in doing so, and then move on to the next thing. Opportunities could present themselves now as far as like a new job or a new relationship or something like that. But there is sort of like a side note here to just make sure that you take your time before deciding what to do, if you can, right? Like sometimes life happens and we have to make quick decisions. Don't ever feel bad about that. Always do what feels right for you. The numerology is just a guidepost, right? But if you can, when these opportunities present themselves, sort of, if you can take your time, plant those seeds, let it germinate, kind of visit it, explore it, see what it potentially holds for you, all of that. But this is really a cycle for you to enjoy and reap the rewards from a harvest that you've previously planted, right? So you could see things come in now to fruition around things that you've started previously, or starting to, again, to see that gratification come in for things that you have previously moved through or, again, planted or whatever. So I would say with new opportunities that come in at this time, acknowledge them, embrace them, explore them. But this wouldn't necessarily, if you can avoid it, would not be the time to take action on it, right? To take initiative on it. I would say wait until this illumination period sort of dissipates, like until it's done, which is probably around 2 weeks until the next cycle comes in, the next full, or what would this be? The next new moon comes in. If you can, right? So just follow your gut, see what comes in, because you really need your energy to be able to really enjoy reaping the harvest that you've already sown. And so this time is going to be good for that. With any documents or contracts or any binding agreements, be really adamant about reading the fine print. Even if it's something that you've previously signed and you're just like re-entering into that contract, really pay attention to the fine print, ask your questions, take it to somebody that you might need to take it to get a second opinion if you feel called to do that. Just to make sure that you have the full story, that you're not missing anything before you sign your name, especially if it's like high stakes or it's something where you're going to be committed to whatever this is for a period of time. I would also say that this is going to be a time for you to be the one who sort of de-escalates any difficulties or any conflict that may surface in personal or business affairs. So, you might have to step into that leadership role of taking the higher road or being the bigger person, and you being the one to de-escalate a situation rather than getting involved and escalating it, right? So that can take some personal, especially as an 11-2, where y'all just innately have all this high sensitivity. It can be a highly emotional energy. And so again, that can be challenging sometimes for 2s to pause and then find ways to de-escalate. I mean, I say it could be challenging. It's actually also very natural for you because you have that 2 energy, which is all about relationships and bringing people together and seeing, all sides of a situation and, being like the coach and the therapist and all those things. So on one hand, if you don't have your emotions in check, it can be challenging. But on the other hand, it's sort of innate within you to be the mediator. So, it depends on where you're at in your journey. But you may see things escalate at this time, whether it's in a business affair or a personal situation, and you may be called to be that bigger person and to really step into that 2 energy that is your core energy in de-escalation. So interesting energies for you all, beautiful energies. So I hope it's a beautiful illumination. Take care, 11s. Bye for now. A life path 22-4. So for you all, you are working with undercurrent energy of the 11 and the 5. So for you all, travel and contracts are highlighted at this time. So if travel opportunities surface for you, go for it. This is great energy for marriage, for business deals and partnerships, for signing a lease or any other contractual agreement, including adoption. So if you were looking to adopt, whether, any new family member, whether it's a human child or, a pet or something like that, adoption is along these same lines. So any kind of contractual agreement, any kind of bringing somebody into the family or building upon your family or any of those things could come in now as well. These contracts that you enter into at this time can be life altering. They can be very much change a big part of your experience, a big dynamic, right? And so, but they are very much supported. This is beautiful energy for this. So this is that time to make those big changes, to commit to something bigger than you, that has the potential to really alter your life in some way. So if you have fears around that, just know that this energy is really working to sort of support you in taking that leap of faith. Be really mindful though and really careful of not taking sort of a severe approach with others now, as that can sometimes lead to unnecessary conflict. So try to really stay fluid and open-minded. So you may be faced with situations where, again, you have a very strong opinion about whatever it is, or you feel like you are the expert at whatever it is. And the energy is just saying, just try to take it down a few notches and just hear what the other person is saying, or be very open, become the observer. That would serve you very well at this time and under this energy, to become the observer and not sort of feel like you have to intervene with, again, a severe approach, right? Where with let's just say stubbornness, where you're not going to budge, right? Your mind is not going to be changed on whatever this is, because you might be surprised. And that severe approach can create sort of disharmony or conflict where there really doesn't need to be any. But it might be on you to become the observer, to stay fluid, to stay open-minded, and just try to see things from all sides before offering your input or before making a final decision, or whatever that can be, what might be, right? This is also a really great time for seeking advice from like mentors or other people who may, know more than you in a given area, or, and you might not even know that they know more than you, especially if it's your area of expertise, unless you sort of, I hate to say lighten up, but you know what I'm saying? Like, unless you are open to what they have to say. If you're too rigid now in your thinking and your actions, you could miss a lot of important details. And for 22/4s, the magic is in the details. And so just really try to not be too rigid when it comes to what you think you know and what others might be able to share that could sort of expand upon your knowledge, right? Or your wisdom. So this is a great time for seeking advice or receiving advice from others who can help you to learn a great deal at this time that you didn't even know that you needed to learn. That's the thing. And that's the thing with like 4 energy and 22 energy is that, and I'm also a 4, so I get it, but it's like sometimes we can be very rigid and like, okay, I know this works. I know how to do this, so I'm going to do it this way. There might be a smarter way or there might be an easier way to do it, but I know this works, so I'm going to do it this way. And then we can get really sort of set in those ways. And then we miss like all these other opportunities or other options that could make life so much easier. So that's sort of what I mean. It's like we might know how to do something. We might be the expert at something, but there's other people who have just as good, if not better, ways of doing it that will get the same, if not better, results. And so this energy is just really asking 22s to be open, to just hear what the other people have to say, to maybe even play in that realm and try new things and see, is it convincing enough for you to want to change your ways and the way that you're currently doing it, or to add upon that and expand upon it. So this can be a little bit challenging just because, again, 22s can sometimes, again, depending on what's in the rest of your chart and all that, but 22 as sort of a rule can be a little bit more structured and rigid and sort of like set in their ways a little bit. But part of the journey, because you have so much 2 energy, 22, is learning to work with others, to be open to other ideas, to trying new things, to stepping outside the comfort zone, to collaborating and like all those things. And so you may see that kind of come in now at this time. But that can be a beautiful thing. You just have to be open to it. So I hope it's a beautiful illumination, 22s. Take care. Bye for now. 33/6s. So you all are working with the undercurrent energies of the 4 and the 7. So this can be an incredible energy for building a business or an enterprise or something of that sort of nature. It doesn't have to be business, it can be something, it could be sort of like building some kind of a legacy of some sort, right? And that could just be like, I don't know, building something that you're going to hand down to your children and then they're going to hand down to their children. It doesn't have to be this huge thing, right? 33s are used to working with like huge energy, but this doesn't have to be that big. It's just something where it's like, this is an opportunity to build something or create something that will take time, but that will also stand the test of time, and that's something that you can like pass on to others, right? Whether that's through selling it down the road or again, passing it down to your friends and family or whatever, or to your community or whatever. This is a great sort of planning period. So anything that you plan under this energy can be highly successful if you invest your time, your energy, and your resources wisely. And so nobody can really tell you what that means, what wisely means, right? But you will know, like just through, not rushing through things, taking your time, not skipping steps, not sort of sacrificing the integrity of whatever this is for something more, maybe cheaper, or to cut corners or something like that. This is an energy that's going to sort of make you course correct if you try to cut corners. So just be really aware of that, because it is 4 energy. And so anytime you kind of are like, okay, well, I want this done now, or I want it done by this date, or whatever, right? So I'm going to cut corners. You might see that sort of resurface before you're able to reap any rewards from this. And that's the other thing too, like because it's 4 energy, this is not something that you'll necessarily see the return of investment very quickly. It's something that it will come, but it's going to take time. And so just be prepared. This is important. Be prepared to be in it for the long haul, and to understand that it probably needs to gradually grow over time, right? So do not give up. If it's something that you want, do not give up. Take breaks if you need to, rest, but do not give up too quickly. If you give up too quickly and it's something you still really want, it could just be that it hadn't had time to take off yet, that it hadn't had time to grow, right? And so don't give up too quickly. Don't be disheartened too quickly. This 4 energy is not instant gratification energy. It does not typically happen quickly. It's something, again, that you're building a legacy with. It's something you're building that you can teach upon or teach from. So there has to be a very strong foundation. So again, if you want it, you have to have the staying power. Big news and big opportunities can come in at this time. So you get to decide sort of where you invest your energy and your time. So, you might get sort of bombarded with a bunch of new ideas, new inspirations, or again, new opportunities. So you decide and be very discerning about where it is that you invest your time and your energy. And, discriminating about those, into whom you place your confidence now. So you might see a lot of people surface who want a piece of you or want to be in your, or say they're in your corner and want to help, but they're really in it for more than that. And so not to say that people that you encounter at this time are going to be shady or take advantage of you or all those things, but, because you have 6 as your core, you are probably a very nurturing, giving person, and people would just naturally, if someone's going to give, there's someone who's going to take, right? And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just be really discerning about, and discriminating against who it is that you place your confidence in now. Just make sure that you investigate a little bit further, feel into it, and move slowly. So yeah, just really, before you commit, make sure you're committing out of truly feeling aligned over feeling obligated, right? So just be really, I'm going to repeat that because I think that's really important, especially for 33 6s. Make sure that whatever this is that you're building, or, if you're working with people on this, make sure that you're committing out of truly feeling aligned with this person, with this entity, whether it's like a bank for funding or whatever, over feeling obligated. Right? If you're feeling obligated and that's why you're doing it, you will probably have to revisit this. And it may be an issue. So like if you feel like you're being sort of forced or coerced or whatever to do something or manipulated to do it, that's a big red flag, especially with this energy. So if it does not feel aligned, then better options are coming. So do not sell yourself short. During this cycle especially, any obstacles are, in fact, a blessing. So tell yourself that as much as you need to. And again, this illumination is going to last for about 2 weeks. But the sort of the whatever you start to build obviously is going to take a lot longer. So you got to be in it for the long haul. And you got to trust what you feel when it comes to the people that you commit to during this time. And again, during this cycle especially, any obstacles are in fact a blessing. So I hope it's a beautiful illumination. Take care, 33s. Bye for now.